I would say probably half of the people that I know in our community right now, and even friends, probably half of them started during the pandemic. And you've never seen anything other than the market pretty much go up all the time. I will tell you that that's so far from normal, it's beyond comprehension. Maybe Joe or Chris or anybody else who's been around for a while can just like throw a different spin on that. But I keep saying it's glorious. It's absolutely glorious. It's just a little bit more challenging where you really need to be on top of your game of which stocks we're watching from a rotation perspective, which that's another thing we could be talking about right now is rotation and how fast rotation is happening. It's interesting. I just thought of a different way to say it, but the speed with which rotation is happening is also causing something else not to happen, which, Joe, I know you and I have actually had this conversation a few times, is for all of the conversations we've had in the day trading community about rotation by the hour, what that's also hiding is the fact that we're not getting rotation by the month or by the multi-month type of price action. So in other words, we're not leaning into healthcare for a couple of months. We're not leaning into tech stocks for a couple of months and then finding like the hottest 5 stocks in that sector or industry group, like we did with solar for a while, or any one of those kind of things. Let's see. Hey, Catherine, welcome. Makes me wonder if right now is a good time to learn to add position size, can take quick profits. Actually, first, I just want to make sure make sure that you're typing to everyone. If you go down into the bottom on the chat, this way everybody can share in each other's questions and whatnot. But that's a good question. So Catherine's saying, wondering if it's a good time to learn to add position size and take a quick profit. So basically what's being implied here, which is a good question, is if you could imagine on the day trading side, where on a swing trade, maybe you'll take 300 shares, again, just using round numbers. But on the day trade side, you might take 3,000 shares because your day trade stop loss is a tighter one and you're looking for a quick move in your direction based on that tighter stop versus a swing where you have a wider stop and less share size to risk whatever you want to risk per trade. So Catherine, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just not sure it's the right market conditions to do that. If you were trading my capital, and this is the way we have a lot of these conversations, where as if you were trading when I had my firm in New York City, I would not be having somebody trade more share size for quicker profits, simply because the clarity. I actually, you know what? I'll just give you that exact example where we just looked at in Apple, which I think is probably the poster child for this right now, which is these kind of moves. This is, you have size there and it doesn't work out. It could get pretty ugly. And I don't know how much discipline you have, Catherine. We've had a couple of conversations. Sounds like you do, but for me as a mentor, I would be more advising to lower your position size and look for a spot to add if it's working out, because the market conditions are not clearly at least 3-1. Not clearly 3-1. I'm at least that's how me and everybody else are seeing it right now. Everybody I've been speaking to. Let's see. Sorry, not very clear. You have targets to add share size versus locking in quick profits on some shares and moving stop loss up. Yeah, well, that second part of what you wrote in there is pretty much what we do all the time, actually combining both of those. We always have targets for accepting the risk. So when you see the trade ideas that we put out there, there's always an initial risk and then the follow through on the idea. So in other words, we put on the trade, where are we adding shares, and then how are we holding it to the initial profit target. And the initial profit target is in the context of what do we need to risk on the initial entry. The challenge with that is it's challenge. How can I word this? I want to word it. The challenge comes when you're doing that, and then all of a sudden the market does pick a direction, and you're taking a smaller profit with bigger risk, and then it's hard to shift back into holding longer. The challenge, I keep using the word challenge because August beat up a lot of people mentally, and that's why I wanted to start out with that today. The challenge is you need to stick to what you do all the time, and changing can work, it does work, but you need to have enough skill to recognize when the conditions change back. So I don't disagree with you, Catherine. I could definitely see, you can take DocuSign, as an example, not DocuSign. DDog is one of those trades, but there's been a few where we've had, or NVIDIA is probably even a better example, where we put the trade on in NVIDIA and it goes up $13 and it's making new all-time highs. So at that point, how do you not justify holding it? That's been the conundrum that we've had. And we're not exactly talking that it was up for a couple of weeks before it hit the new all-time high. It was only a couple of days. So when you put the trade on at 220 and it goes to 230 and you're up $10, in this current market, there's arguments on both sides of the trade that you could have booked at $10. But then as soon as we do that, we're like, well, it went back to 240. Why did we get out at 230? So there has to be a strategic way of doing everything. Otherwise, you're gonna be, not you, Catherine, you as a trader are going to lack conviction in your decision-making process. So I would prefer, which has worked for me over my career, to trade the strategy the same, knowing that it's tougher market conditions for follow through, and adjust my position sizing up or down based on the follow through we're getting. But if I get into the habit of booking profits quicker, then I'm not going to be in the position for the bigger win.